Good morning, grade 10. We are going to do another difficult example, and this one is going to be number 5, page 82. No, page 83. Your textbook, it's about voting for SCR or SRC leaders. We can call them prefects. Grade 11s and 12s are going to vote. And in this program, we're going to have a number of learners in grade 11 and the total number of learners in grade 12 added, and then the votes for those two grades going to be inserted. And then we're going to calculate the percentage of votes. Now, this is for one person. Let's say one person's name is going to be entered into an edit box. There's the interface. And this is the program that you're going to use. The name of the learner is going to be entered. Then we're going to put in the numbers here in spin edits. Now take a look at this interface. It has got a group box, GBX main, which is this thing. Now a group box is just like a panel with a little place where you can put in a caption if you want. Over here on the left hand side of the structure, if you can't see your components, you just click the plus signs and then you will see them. As you can see, the group boxes have plus signs, expanding the group box so you can see the contents on that group box and so on. Now the output here is LBL message. The spin edits are on this group box. You don't have to worry about these group box names. You're only going to use the spin edit names. There they all are there. LBL name, that's just the label for the display. So this SED TOT grade 11, SED TOT grade 12, and SED grade 11 and 12. And here, we're not going to use LBL Groot and LBL Kinders, we use LBL Message. I can't, those labels are a bit hidden, so we can just use the one label, LBL Message, in this program for our output. Everything's happening display result button. The reset button is going to clear all the spin edits and set focus on the name and clear the label. Close, we don't have to do any coding, close. So display results, everything's going to add it there, so we're going to use our variables in that button click event. So there will be local, no global variables involved here. We're going to display these 4 different messages, definitely, probable, possible and unlikely for those criteria. So a whole lot of if statements, nested if then else statements. After we've calculated the total votes and the percentage of votes. So spreadsheet over here, this is the input, total people in grade 11, there, examples over here. Total as we add up these two numbers and get 737. Votes from grade 11 and so on, votes from grade 12. Total votes there, percentage of votes will be calculated with the number of votes divided by the total learners in both grades times by 100. So we've got to add these two numbers up to get 374 and add those two to get that number over there. Then these are the 4 criteria that we're going to use in our if statements. If the percentage is greater than 60, or if the percentage is greater than 47 and less than 60, and greater than equal to 40 and less than equal to 47 and less than 40. Now we translate that from the description here of the criteria. 60% or more, that basically if the percentage is greater than 60, well, it actually should be greater than or equal to 60% or more if the percentage is greater than equal to 60. Now the next one is less than 60 but more than 47. So that would translate to greater than 47 and less than 60. And then the third one is from 40 to 47, so including the 40 and the 47. So it's greater than and equal to 40 and less than and equal to 47. And then less than 40 is the last one. The big job here is to translate these criteria into code. And that is how it's going to look in the program code. So let's go do our code. First of all, we must get all our input, and we'll get our variables to hold the input. Here we have sname for our string for the person's name. So remember, it's going to be a person's name there, and then the votes obtained for that person over here, and then the total So we need I number of grade 11s and I num grade 12s. Here we have an integer declared for those two, and for the number of votes from the grade 11 and the grade 12 integers. We also need to add up the total of learners and add up the number of votes as well. And then R percent is going to be used to calculate the percentage. Now this S message here is going to be what these classifications: definitely, probable, possible, unlikely. Right, so first let's get our input. We get our name from the edit box, there it is. We get the number of grade 12s from this spin edit here, SED tot grade 12, and the number of grade 11s from SED tot grade 11. Then what about giving our value for our total number of learners? Let's go and calculate that. The total number of learners will be equal to I num grade 12 plus I num grade 11. So let's get our other values from the other spin edits. R vote 12 equals SED, what's the number of grade 12, the spin edit for grade 12, SED grade 12 dot value. Take note of the spin edit, this is dot value, integer on the left hand side, integer on the right hand side. R vote 11 is SED grade 11 dot value, and then the total votes will be equal to R vote 12 plus R vote 11. Right, so we've got our total learners, total number of votes. Now we use percentage. Why have I made percentage real? Well, because we're doing division when we calculate a percentage. R percent equals I total votes divided by I total learners times by 100. So we get our percentage, the total divided by the votes, all the votes divided by the number of learners in grade 11 and 12 times by 100, get our R percent. Now we can do our if statement. If R percent, the first condition we are worried about is 60% or more. If it's greater than or equal to 60, you don't put the percentage, you do not put a percentage in there, no. R percent is a real number, it can be greater than or equal to 60, then we're going to say our message equals definitely. Okay, I'm just going to set a variable called message, else. We'll worry about a display afterwards. Now I've got to put an else here because you can only have one option here. Numbers are not going to be both 60% or more and in this range. So you'll never have two different outcomes here. We're only going to have one. Else if R percent. Now we're going to use our second condition here, greater than 47, more than 47, and less than 60. Okay, if R percent, now if you're going to have two conditions, you have to wrap them up in brackets. If it's greater than 47 and R percent is less than, is it less than or equal to 60? No, less than 60. Then say S message equals probable. And then we'll have another else further down. But before we carry on, let's have a look at this statement quickly. What you'll see is that we have the two conditions in brackets and we have an and. If you put an or there, what do you think will happen? Well, it will, if the number is greater than 47 or if the number is less than 60, well, the program won't crash or anything, but every single number in the sum will be correct, will be included, because if it's an or, that means we know that the number naught, okay, we know naught is not greater than 47, but it is less than 60. So because we have an or here, the naught is also going to be applied. A negative number will also be minus 10. We know it's not greater than 47, but we know minus 10 is less than 60. So that all there says, well, you can have it. Minus 47 is fine, minus 10 is fine, and even 467 is fine. It'll still be valid, you know, because the or is there. But if you put an and, then you know that the number must be in that range. So that and is very important. Right, so we've got that down now. The third else is going to be if R% is greater than or equal to 40 and less than or equal to 47. Does that make sense? Let's have a look here. From 40 to 47. So it's greater than or equal to 40 and less than or equal to 47. And that and is very important, as I described earlier. If you put all there, you will include every single number under the sun. So, and it must be in that range. So that must be true and that must be true. They both must be true in order for the message to be possible. So then we have to have the next else, because there's a very last condition. If R% is less than 40. Now we don't need brackets around because we've only got one condition here. If you have two conditions, then you must put them in brackets, otherwise the processor will complain, the compiler will complain, and will say S message equals unlikely. And did you know that this whole thing that I'm highlighting here is that's one long statement. Just that we put it down in one underneath each other so that it looks more understandable, but it's actually one long statement. It can be written in one single long line right across. And why? Because there's a semicolon there to the end of that statement. If then else, if then else, if then else, if then that. That's one long statement. No semicolon before else's. And each time we're setting a variable called SMessage to be that. And at the end of all of that, we're now going to go and display in our label LBL message dot caption. We're going to display the person's name, S name, then we're going to display what they want us to display: total number of votes, total votes equals into string. What is the total votes? I'm just going to put this on a new line so you can see it here. I total votes. Now I'm going to use the hash 13. And I'm going to, hash 13 means that you're adding a new line to the label, the output. And then we're going to also display percentage. And now I'm going to use R%, so I must have a float to string, and I'm going to convert it to no decimal places, well, round it off. I could also say into string and round R%. Float to string F, R%, FF fixed. You've got to get used to using float to string F, 8,0. Right, plus, let's do a hash 13. So we've got our float to string F there for our real number. Then we're adding another line, new line, and then we're going to put in, what do they want us to put in? The chances. Chances equals S message. Remember we compiled S message over here for each different possibility. There we go. And that's it. Take note of the hash 13s. There's a new line for each thing that we add. A new line. Hash 13 will put this onto a new line. That is a whole new line. And this will be on a new line. This percentage of votes equals, and S name plus total votes equals. So let's go and run the program and see Jane Doe, and I'm going to use these numbers here. Let's say 3 grade 12 people is 412, and 11 people 325, grade 11 120 and 254, 120, oops, and 254. Display result, chances equals probable for Jane Doe. Take note there's no space there, I forgot to put a space after the person's name. So I'll just put the space there. Right, so that's that done. And the next thing is, what about reset? Reset will clear all the edit box, well, clear the edit box and set the focus to the edit box for the editor name, but the spin edits, you have to give them value 0, and the label, you basically have to put an empty string in the label. LBL message.caption equals, that's an empty string. It's just two single inverted commas next to each other. Right, try that by yourself without watching.